Okay, we're going to look at midpoint and distance formula. First is the definition of midpoint. Midpoint of a segment. So a segment with a midpoint is a point that divides a segment into two congruent parts. So the way that you say something is congruent is going to be with this symbol. It's a tilde with an equal sign. It's supposed to be connected. So that's how you know something is congruent. So we want to say, if we look at line AB, the midpoint of AB is going to be M, right in here. So you have now two different segments. So now you can say that M is a midpoint, and it's going to be a midpoint of AB. So with this in mind, now we can say that AM is equivalent to MB. That's what these little hatch marks mean. So AM is congruent or equivalent to MB. So now I can say that AM equals 1/2 times AB. Okay, that means that if I take AB and divide it into two different parts, I'm going to get AM. Okay, next we have the segment bisector. That is going to be a point, ray, line, segment, or plane that intersects a segment at a midpoint. So then, yet again, we're talking about a midpoint. So when we talk about midpoint, it's important that we bring attention to the segments. So here we had AB, now we have segment CD. We know that CD has crossed AB at the midpoint. Remember, M equals the midpoint. Okay, so now back to what the statement is. We're going to say that CD is a segment bisector. So it's a segment bisector. And it's a segment bisector of AB. So I want to bring your attention again. Point M is a midpoint, but it also bisects. So it's going to bisect AB, but it's still M. So M is a midpoint, but it's also the point of bisect. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about midpoint formula. Midpoint formula is, just so you know, it's going to be the average of 2 points on a plane. And the points, we call them x1, y1, and x2, y2. So we add x1 plus x2 and divide by 2, and the same thing with the y's. So let's look at an example. Find the coordinates of a midpoint of AB with endpoints. A is -2, 3. So that's my x1 and my y1. And B is going to be -4, -2. That's my x2. And then my y2, -2. So now we're going to use this formula right here. Remember that midpoint is also M. So point M you don't need those equal signs, is going to be -2 plus -4 divided by 2, comma, 3 plus -2 divided by 2, and then close parentheses. So we're going to solve. Midpoint M is equivalent to -6 divided by 2, and in this case 1 divided by 2. So midpoint is going to be -3, comma, 1/2. And that's your solution. If one endpoint RS is R5, -3, and the midpoint is M24, find the coordinates of the other endpoint S. So you have R, midpoint, and S. R is 5, comma, -3. Midpoint is 2, comma, 5. Excuse me, 2, comma, 4. And then S, we're not sure, so we say that that's going to be X2 and Y2. And we know that because we have the midpoint, RM and MS are congruent. So let's say, let's write down what we know. We know X1 and Y1 equal 5 and -3. And we know that the midpoint, so midpoint X is going to equal 2, and the midpoint Y is going to equal 4. If I set this up as using this formula, the midpoint formula, here's what it's going to look like. It's going to be M2, 4 equals X1 plus X2, so 5 plus X2 divided by 2, and, excuse me, that was X, and then Y1 plus Y2, so -3 plus Y2 divided by 2. So now we can make two separate formulas, one for the M of X and one for the M of Y. So you're saying that 2 equals 5 plus X squared divided by 2, and 4 equals -3 plus Y squared, I'm sorry, Y2 divided by 2, and then we just solve for the variables. So in this case, let me just go ahead and erase some of this stuff. We're saying that we're going to cross multiply or get rid of the 2. And to do that, you're going to say that you have both sides times 2. So you get 4 equals, let's cross out, 5 plus X2. So -5 minus 5. So X2 is going to equal -1. And then for the Y2, 4, oh, sorry, you're going to multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of the 2 in the denominator. So I get 8 equals -3 plus Y2. I add 3 to both sides. Y2 equals 11. So our points are that's going to be for S. All right, see you in class.